Hey there. So today's lesson is going to be on measures of variability, where we're going to be finding the range and the interquartile range, which we also call the IQR. So what is a measure of variability? Just the other day, we did our lesson on measure of center. And today, the measure of variability is different. Instead of looking at the center value of our list of data points, now we're just looking at how those data points vary. So it's a way of describing how far spread out the data is. It shows us a measure of whether or not the data would be really clustered if we put it on a graph or a dot plot, or whether or not it would be spread out and wide. So the good thing about using the IQR is that it resists outliers. So if we have an extreme high or an extreme low outlier compared to the rest of our data, the IQR is going to get rid of those and give us the value of just our center 50% of the data. And in the next few lessons, and if you recall from sixth grade when you did box plots, we're going to be doing those again. The middle 50%, or what we see as the boxes in our box plot, is what the interquartile range or the IQR is made up of. So let's go ahead and take a look at examples 1 and 2, and then you're going to see one that you're going to try for yourself. So you're going to press pause and try those for yourself before you see the answer. Hey there. All right, here we go with example 1. And in example 1 here, we have a listing of some camera costs at a store. So if you went to the store and you looked at cameras, you would have found some different costs. And you can find them at Target or Walmart, ranging as low as $28 all the way up to $108, really up to in the thousands. But for this example, you can see some values here in the cost of these cameras. So we're being asked to find the median, the range, and the IQR, or the interquartile range. So I'm going to do that now. Prior to this, you watched the video and practiced finding the median, so that should be pretty easy. So when I'm finding the median, I am crossing off first, I needed to order my data from least to greatest. I went ahead and did that before I started the video, just so that it was a little bit easier for timing wise. So I have my data in order, and I'm going to go from highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest. And I see that I do have a true median here. So my median cost of the camera is $59. Okay. Now I have range. So when we're doing range, if you remember from sixth grade, range is just the highest minus the lowest amount. So in our given cost of our cameras, we have the highest amount of 108 and our lowest amount of 28 to find that our range is 80. And so what does that mean to us? That means the range of the costs of these cameras, they range by a difference of $80. From the lowest cost camera to the highest cost camera is $80 all the way in between. So that gives you a good idea of, the more features they offer, the more they're going to cost. But when you have an option of cameras, you can go within a range of $80 and get a cheaper or a more expensive camera. Then we get to the IQR, the interquartile range. Quartile meaning in fourths, the interquartile range. So when we're using the interquartile range, the reason why it's, in some data, it's better to use the IQR rather than just the range of the highest minus the lowest. The IQR is going to give us the value, the variability of the middle 50% of our data. And when we do that, it actually takes out the outliers. It's going to be taking out the highest and the lowest, assuming that those are much less or much more than the rest of the data. And if you look at this example, you can see that 108 is quite a bit more than 71, and 28 is quite a bit less than the 44, 59, and 66. So it's going to take those out, and we're going to look at only the middle 50% of the data. How do we do that? So I'm going to give you step by step how to do that, and we'll do it together. So the first step is find the median of the entire set of data. So find the median of all of the data. We've already done that, and we know that our median is right here. It's 59. Okay, so now that I found the median of my data, do you see that I have a bottom half and a top half of data? So I've just split my data into two sections. Now, my second step is going to be find the median. We're going to find the median of the lower and upper halves. Okay, so how we do that. So I'm going to look at just my lower half here, and I see that I have 3 pieces of data in that. I'm going to simply, just like I did here, I'm going to cross off the lowest and the highest, and I'm going to keep going until I get the median. So here I have the lowest half is going to have a median of 36. My upper half is going to have a median of 71. So now I'm going to subtract the upper quartile and the lower. All right, so I'm going to subtract the 71 minus the 36 to find that I have an IQR of 35. That means from here to here, this half of my data ranges from about $35. So you can see we've taken out our upper and lower quartiles. If we had more data, we would be dropping off more from the top and the bottom. In this case, only having 7 pieces of data, it's only dropping off 1 from each end. But now we have our middle 50% of our data, and we know that it spans $35 in terms of its range and variability and cost. We're going to do another example right after this before you practice on your own. Hey there, here we go with example 2. Same thing, we're finding the mean, the range, and the IQR. The median, the range, and the IQR. So what we're looking for here is the variability in the number of students in each kindergarten class. So we have a list of a number of students in classes, and we're wanting to see how much those values vary amongst each other. So I always have you start with median just because that's something that you need to find. So to find the median of our data, we need to start by crossing off a lowest, a highest, lowest, highest. We keep going, and we find actually that we have right in the middle there, there is no true median. We have 2 in the middle. So to find the median, I'm going to take the mean of these two. So 21 plus 22, and then divide by 2. I'm just finding the average or the mean. So 21 plus 22 divided by 2 is going to give me 21.5. So that is going to be my median. All right, so now I've got my median. And from there, we are asked to find the range. So the range is always going to be the highest value minus the lowest value. As you recall from the first video or from the first example. So my highest value in this example is 24 minus the 18. So my highest value minus my lowest value is going to give me a range of 6. Okay, so the range or the variability in students with the highest number of students to the lowest number of students, that ranges within 6 students. So down here, when it's time to do the IQR, I apologize, I did not pre-copy my data in numerical order down here, so let me get that down. I don't know if I mentioned this at the top, but when you first get your data to find the median, I had to rewrite that data over here in numerical order. I did that before the video started, so make sure that you do that on your own. I'm going to go ahead and mark here where my median was, which was 21.5. So something I want you to see, my first step is find the median. In our previous example, we had a defined median, and what that did, it took the median and all the data above and below that median was our top and bottom half. I did not have a true median, so I had to find the average of these two and place my median here. So now that I've done this, I have a defined bottom half and a defined top half. Do you see that? So the 21, even though I used that 21 and 22 to find my median, I used those two to take the average to find the median. The median is what is in between those two numbers. So this 21 is still part of my lower half, and that 22 is still part of our upper half. Okay. The difference in our previous example was we had in our original data set, there was a median that was given. Then we took the numbers below that and above that to make our halves. So that's the difference in the two. So now that was step one, find the median. Step two, I need to find the median of my lower and upper halves. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to cross off the highest, the lowest, and I get a median here of 18. And then here, the highest and the lowest, highest and lowest, highest and lowest. And then I have a median here of 23. So my last step is subtract the upper quartile and the lower quartile. And when I do that, it's going to give me an IQR, or an interquartile range, of 5. So in this example, when you look at our data, in terms of the variability of the data from 18 to 24 students, it didn't really, the range obviously was 6, but if you notice, there were no true outliers. We didn't have one class that only had 5 students or anybody that was significantly less than 18. We also did not have a class that was significantly more than the 24. So if you notice here, because we didn't have a wide range or variability in our entire data set, our IQR, interquartile range, in our range of our data, they're pretty close. I wouldn't say that's similar, but they're pretty close. They're not way different like in our first example. So you really would be finding the range. Typically, you would use the IQR or the interquartile range when your data really varies and you notice that you have some extreme outliers. The interquartile range is going to give you a better look at the bulk of your data right in the middle, the big chunk. Another brief example, if I have students that take a test or a quiz, and I have one student that just does really poorly, everyone else is in the range of 70 to 90, and then I have a student that gets 100. If I do the range, I'm including that 100 all the way down to the lowest value, or the lowest quiz score. If I just do my interquartile range, that's going to tell me what the center 50% of my students did. Which is going to give me a good range of variability to see where did most of my students fall. So hopefully with example 1 and example 2, it showed you the steps to find median, range, and IQR. So now you can practice that on your own.